This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Campbell Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, a Balclutha school principal had to spend more time at work before he was able to retire. Te wiki o te reo Māori is celebrated at Alexandra's Kids First Kindergarten. And Omakau school pupils had the opportunity to dip their toes into their local stream to learn more about the environment. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Melissa Batanaho. This year's COVID-19 lockdown has upset the plans of one school principal in Balclutha. Paddy Ford was hoping to retire earlier this year, but that was delayed to give the school board time to advertise the vacancy his departure has created.
After a bit of a delay due to COVID-19, Balclutha Primary School Principal Paddy Ford is finally getting to retire at the end of this term after a career of more than 40 years.
I was actually supposed to finish last term. I wasn't supposed to be working this term, but I resigned 2 days before lockdown. So, of course, then we realised the board couldn't get together to meet to draw up job descriptions. They couldn't have interviews. So, in discussions, I offered to come back to do this term because otherwise the school basically would have not had anybody and we wouldn't have had time. So, so I'm a term late in retiring.
The 62-year-old says one of the highlights of his career was a year spent closely working with his son Zach, who applied to be deputy principal at the same school his father worked.
So I was very fortunate that the Board of Trustees hired my son as DP, and I don't know of any other schools that have father-son principal DP. I know of husbands and wives, and I know of mothers and daughters, but that was great. It was absolutely fantastic because he's a young teacher, and that's where we get all our good ideas from. So, yeah.
Ford says he also enjoyed class camps, with the children and their parents coming along for a weekend outdoors.
I'm a great fan of outdoor education and school camps, and long may they last. And when they brought in the changes to a lot of the health and safety, schools thought, oh, this will be in, but it's not. New Zealanders will continue to go on school camps wherever and say they should, and we've got such wonderful facilities to do it. But yeah, there are lots of things on camp, getting lost in 20-minute walks. It took a lot longer than normal.
Due to COVID-19 restrictions, Ford won't have a farewell assembly, but the Board of Trustees, staff and family are putting on a farewell function tomorrow evening. In Balclutha, the South Today.
Wild winds kept emergency services busy about the south yesterday afternoon. Firefighters were trying to pin down part of the roof on a Dunedin building, previously damaged by fire from lifting off in high winds. This woman tested the wind speed at Lake Waihola yesterday as wind gusts around the south reached up to 120 kilometres an hour in some places, according to the Met Service. Meanwhile, a downed tree blocked Mosgill's Silverstring Bridge in Puddle Alley for a time. Aurora Energy says severe winds cut power to several Dunedin customers, mostly around the Tairi as far north as Fairfield and Abbotsford, while fire crews worked against the breeze to secure the roof of the East Tairi takeaways. The NZTA says strong wind warnings are still in place for some areas. Te wiki o te reo Māori is being celebrated at the flax roots level across central Otago, with Alexandra's Kids First Kindergarten getting into the swing of it.
Children at Kids First Kindergarten Alexandra celebrated Māori Language Week with waiata. Teacher Gail Toucher said Te Reo Māori was popular with the children.
We've made a conscious effort of having kapa haka every Wednesday morning for just 10, 15 or 20 minutes, depending on how long the children's attention lasts on that day. It's crucial for children to learn that there's more than one language, an official language in New Zealand, as Te Reo is the basis of Māori tradition. Māori culture is going to disappear if we don't keep up with the te reo. And this is the age to integrate it, because they are such sponges. They'll take up any languages that we throw at them, and they love it. It keeps their brains ticking over.
In Alexandra for the South Today.
Police fear next year's orientation week could spiral out of control if it's not held at Forsyth Bar Stadium in Dunedin. This comes after the financial effect of COVID-19 has prompted the Otago University Students Association to move away from the stadium, as it is no longer viable to hire. Since 2011, OUSA has held major events including the Toga Party at the stadium. This is credited with helping reduce the notoriously out-of-control drinking associated with the week. Police say not having a larger venue like the stadium for students is risky and could lead to more uncontrolled events. Dunedin Venues says it's surprised by OUSA's move away from the stadium, as it is not being discussed. Omakau school pupils had the chance to study the ecology of their local river recently. The study included looking at the presence of macroinvertebrates as an indicator of water quality.
Pupils from Omakau School got to study the Manuhirakia River recently as part of their studies in water quality. They were provided with scientific equipment, including a bath escape, which was borrowed from the Otago Regional Council to help them see better underwater.
We use that really to study what's going on in the under the water, so in the shallows of the water, because it's quite fast flowing. So we just use the bathoscope to look around on the bottom of the river to gain an understanding of whether there's any algae present, and to have a look at what's actually happening on that stream bed as well.
Because rivers and streams have water flowing through them, the environmental quality can change quickly, with either clean or polluted water entering the system. But Robinson says the presence of macroinvertebrates can show the water quality has been good for at least as long as the life cycle of the aquatic animals found in the water.
An example of that is if you've got lots of your good critters like your mayflies and your Dobson flies, they are there because the water quality has been good for a long period of time.
Robinson says the main objective of the aquatic survey is so that both pupils and the wider community are better informed about the state of their waterways.
The bigger picture of this is actually about everyone working in together, the school students, the council, the farmers, and all those other interest groups working in together to provide a really healthy catchment. So the hope is that the students will be able to present their findings to certain groups who are interested and be able to take some really good steps to ensure that this river stays in good quality.
Along with surveying macroinvertebrates, the pupils were also shown techniques to measure water flow, temperature, pH and water clarity. In Omakau, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. A Dunedin City Councillor is concerned New Zealand's wildlife are being disturbed by visitors, and around 50 pupils from the group Taingatahi joined celebrations of Te Wiriki o Te Reo Māori language. So see you after the break.
Hi, Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Welcome back. A Dunedin City Councillor says New Zealand's wildlife capital needs to stop visitors disturbing the wildlife. Councillor Sophie Barker is concerned the council's report on freedom camping shows free wildlife viewing is a top drawcard for visitors. A survey by council community rangers shows nearly 70% of freedom campers are visiting Dunedin beaches and almost 50% are visiting sites for free wildlife viewing. Barker says access to wildlife needs to be managed and should not necessarily be free. She says too often visitors were not contributing to the city's wildlife conservation efforts. Instead, they imagine Dunedin's wildlife viewing opportunities are something like a petting zoo. It's estimated freedom campers spend about $3.7 million in Dunedin a year. Groundbreaking work is underway at Maniatoto Area School. A sod turning ceremony has taken place at the school ahead of what will eventually be an $11 million full school rebuild.
Waiata were sung by senior pupils in uniform from behind a safety fence as members of the junior school stood to attention in full protective gear on the work site. A digger was at Maniatoto Area School for the occasion, resting silent next to large piles of recently dug earth. School Principal Joe Ferdinand was joined for the occasion by Central Otago Mayor Tim Cadogan and the project's architects. The technology block is set to feature a design hub and science lab and is the first stage of the full school rebuild. Joe Ferdinand says the aim of the technology block is to be a community-friendly space which various groups can use when required. Maniatoto Area School's role can fluctuate between 160 and 185 pupils, but it's hoped the new build will future-proof the facility to cater to about 260 learners. In Alexandra, the South Today.
The Invercargill Library has been filled with the mana of Waverley Park School's kapa haka. About 50 pupils from the group Tuingatahi joined the celebrations of Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori Language Week at the library.
Doing the mahi to keep the culture alive in the south. Waverley Park School kapa haka group Tuingatahi have a 10-year history, and the school's principal says there is buy-in throughout the kura.
The vast majority of the kids, there's roughly 300 at school at the moment, and virtually every one of them voluntarily takes part in kapa haka.
Waverley Park School Principal Kerry Hawkins says the group would typically be gearing up for local and regional kapa haka competitions, but the global pandemic means events like this are now even more important for the performing troupe.
But because it's a COVID year, the Putangi competition is, I understand, has been cancelled, so it's good, especially for the wee guys having their first year in the group, to have opportunities like this to perform in public. Because you can be fantastic in front of a mirror, but it's different when there's people looking back at you.
Hawkins says practising tikanga and immersing pupils in Te Ao Māori helps tangata whenua and non-native reo speakers alike.
It's like any culture, you use it or you lose it. And previous generations, these kids' grandparents, for instance, their generation weren't really exposed to it in the schooling system. It just wasn't there because English was promoted as the way forward. But there's been a renaissance, Maori renaissance over recent years, and this is part of the fruit of that, really.
The event is one of many being held in the Invercargill Public Library to celebrate Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori. And organiser Mandy Stenton says the library is considered a second home for cultural events like this. In Invercargill, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, we have an instalment of Footy Chat for you, and we take a look at the weather heading into the weekend, so see you after the break.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Hi, Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Thanks for staying with us. Dunedin Technical claimed its 8th straight Women's Premier League at the weekend, beating Queenstown on Saturday by 3-1 goals. This week on Football Chat, Morgan talks to Dunedin Technical player Hannah Mackay-Wright and Football South Development Manager Danny Ledwith.
A big congratulations to the Dunedin Tech WPL team who were crowned champions for an incredible 8th consecutive season in the weekend. Joining me today is one of their stars, Hannah Mackay-Wright. Thanks for coming in. And Football South Development Manager Danny Ledwith. Thanks for coming in too, Danny. Been seeing plenty of you in the Shoot Your Shot competition, which we'll get another look at soon. But look, Hannah, starting with you, what a huge week, as well as wrapping up the WPL title with the Tech side up in Queenstown, and we'll get a bit more to that match a bit later on. You've also been named in the New Zealand Under-20 identification camp. That's a week can't really get much better than that, can it?
Yeah, no, it's been pretty good. All good news lately, so I'm pretty stoked with both of those.
And a couple of your Tech teammates in that squad as well, and I think it was Rose Morton and Ruby Anderson as well. It's great recognition that obviously you've been involved in those national setups in the past, but the fact that playing for a successful team down here, you can still actually get recognised at that level's got to be great to see as well.
Yeah, I feel like all the girls, all the Tech team really works hard, but it's helpful to know that we're still getting seen and everyone is getting recognition.
Oh, that's good, isn't it? Great. Danny, look, there's been a wee bit of change, understandably, with the Football South team over the last few months, and you've lost a couple of familiar faces, which I'm sure is a bit of a shame. But can you tell me a bit about how your role in that at the moment?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we've lost a couple of bodies, which is quite unfortunate and disappointing. But these things happen in football. So yeah, a bit of a change in role for me. I've taken over from Paul O'Reilly's old role. Obviously, big shoes to fill there.
Very.
And then Stephen Last, who's the FDO, has taken a lead on advanced coach ed as well. So yeah, we're a little bit short staffed at the moment, but we're getting by. But yeah, it's just in the year that it's been, just getting a season underway and having people out there playing football is all that's important right now. But
you still think that there's quite a bit of talent coming through that we're seeing in the SPL and that as well?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. As you mentioned, Cromie, it's obviously great for him to get recognised. He's up with Birkenhead at the moment. But yeah, locally as well, there's especially, again, this is just my opinion, but from that 16 to kind of 19, 20 age bracket, there's a lot of local talent. So that's probably Football South's main job over the next 12 months, to make sure that there's something there and there is a pathway, whether it be to National League in a different region or something like that. We have to make sure that there's still opportunities for them guys, because yeah, lots and lots of local talent at that age.
And you can catch the full episode of this week's Football Chat on Channel 39 or odt.co.nz. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. A Balclutha school principal had to spend more time at work before he was able to retire due to COVID-19. Te Wiki Aotearoa Māori is celebrated at Alexandra's Kids First Kindergarten. And Omaka school pupils had the opportunity to dip their toes into their local stream to learn more about the environment. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Barry Stewart. What have you got
Melissa.
for us?
Well, all the headlines are saying we are in a recession. So that's a bit grim. So what can we do? Spend, spend and spend.
But what if you haven't got
that is the direction
spend?
the country must go in if we're successfully able to dig ourselves out of what is considered one of the worst recessions on record, and that is according to two University of Otago economists. So that's some sound advice. Spend, spend, spend.
What, get into debt more?
Apparently.
Amazing. If people haven't got the money to spend.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. but we'll obviously have to work through that.
I guess we're going to find out more tomorrow in the paper too.
You will indeed. Tyree electorate meeting tonight of candidates, so that could be interesting. We're at that, so we'll be covering everything that happens there. The families of New Zealand and Australian families of the crew missing in the Gulf livestock ship have raised over $90,000 for a private search and rescue plan. So that's a significant amount of money already. Police have laid charges following an explosion at a house in Invercargill last week, which left 2 people seriously injured. And today's open plan homes, life inevitably revolves around the kitchen. Kim Dungy looks at what makes a dream kitchen. So that's a nice little...
I'm really interested in that. I'd like to read that one. I'll be checking that out in tomorrow's paper.
You do that.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
you can catch all of that in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view and an industrial building under a leaden sky in Dunedin's Wharf area. Looking at the situation, yet more strong west to southwesterly wind is predicted for the region tomorrow and on Saturday, with showers and cold temperatures, but winds should cease by Sunday. Starting at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport are in for rain and 12 degrees. To the northeast, sunshine and some cloud with showers for 12 degrees and 19 degrees in Blenheim and 17 in Nelson. Moving to the southern towns, you can expect strong westerlies and showers with 9 degrees in the Catlins, Balclutha and Lumsden and Gore. In central Otago, there will be stormy conditions over here. Strong westerlies and showers in Wanaka, Queenstown with 10 degrees and 11 degrees in Alexandra, and strong southerlies and showers in Tiana, reaching a high of 9 degrees. To the northern towns on the coast, Timaru can expect gusty westerlies, cloud and 14 degrees, while Oamaru can expect southwesterly change and 13 degrees. Inland Twizel and Amarama can expect strong westerlies, a few showers and 10 degrees for both of you. In Dunedin, showers clearing tonight and gusty southwesterlies easing for a time. Looking at an overnight low of 5, and it's mostly fine tomorrow with sunny periods and some cloud, but a few brief showers possible in the afternoon and strong westerly winds. Looking at a high of 11 and a low of 7. And it's cloudy with a few light showers on Saturday, cold with fresh to strong southwesterlies again, looking at a high of 10 and a low of 5. And moving to Invercargill, while it's not nice weather here, showers and gale force southwesterlies tonight with an overnight low of 5. Cloudy tomorrow with frequent showers, some squally at times with hail, a high of 9 and a low of 5. Showers clearing during the day on Saturday, but remaining mostly cloudy and cold with southwesterlies. Looking at a high of 9 and a low of 4. And that's all from the South Today team for this Thursday. Remember, for the latest news from the southern regions, head to the odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Campbell Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.